Wow. Back on air. Eli.
Yes, sir.
Abela.
Abong.
Nice having you on the program.
Thank you very much.
I want you to say a word concerning our food for thought today before we enter into the nitty-gritty of your slot.
I like that nitty-gritty.
The first rule is to have a vision for your life. The second is to believe in your ability to figure things out. The third is to have fun making your dreams happen no matter how hard it gets. The fourth is to be patient, always persistent. The fifth is to respect and love other people who are also playing the same game of life.
Yeah, it's something extraordinary. I think it is like a kind of golden rule of life. So you have to be patient, respect others. If you don't, it is not a very good thing. Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay, Eli. Yesterday we dwelt on many subjects, but you said a word about what is happening now between Iran and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
We have to talk. We'll dwell much more on that today. The first question is to know the causes of this current crisis.
The basic cause is the assassination or the killing of this sheikh, a Shia cleric called Nemir al-Nimir, who is a Saudi Arabian but of Shia Muslim confession. I think that's what sparked this crisis, because it was like one killing too many, because the Shia are a minority in Saudi Arabia.
They're talking of 15 to 20%.
Yeah, in Saudi Arabia. While in Iran, the Sunnis are minorities. And there is a kind of mutual accusation that in both countries, those who are either Shia, or if you are in Saudi Arabia, where it's majority Sunni, the Shia are marginalized. And when you are in a majority Iran, where the majority is Shia, the Sunnis are being marginalized. That is the main cause. And the other thing is that whether it's like the fuel that on a kind of smoldering tension was that when the killing took place, 47 of them, but the emblematic,
I think about 5 Shiites, and then the rest of it were Sunnis.
The Sunnis. You had
terrorists, proven terrorists, according to Saudi Arabia.
According to Saudi Arabia, if they were proven terrorists, but this man, the sheikh, wasn't a terrorist. The only crime of the sheikh was that he was criticizing the royal family of Saudi Arabia. And now the reaction was violent in Iran, Iraq, and other Shia world. And in Iran is that the people overpower the police and break into the Saudi diplomatic compound, and a kind of what happened to what the Iranians did. Did in I think in 1979, immediately after the revolution took place. And that's what angered the Saudis to decide to a kind of impose kind of sanction against Iran.
Let's talk about the repercussion in the region.
The repercussion in the
Sudan.
Yes.
Why this pompous reaction from Sudan?
No, it's not pompous. Sudan is a Sunni Muslim country, and Sudan,
by cutting diplomatic ties with Iran, do they have a particular problem with Iran now?
No, you will be surprised perhaps that Iran is not the only country that has cut diplomatic relations.
Sudan, you wanted to say?
See, the Sudan is not the only, because Sudan, Bahrain, and United Arab Emirates have downgraded their diplomatic representations. You have to understand that Sudan and other countries that have broken or downgraded their diplomatic relationship with Iran is simply because they are allies of Saudi Arabia. And that Sudan is also a majority Sunni nation that is being supported by Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia is trying to prove that it is a leader in the Sunni world, and that it is able to marginalize Iran.
The Arab League is meeting on Sunday. And then they are calling what happened in Tehran an aggression. They are not even reacting to the killings.
Sure. The problem is that the Arab League is a majority Sunni organization. For example, the name Arab League.
Whereas the Arab and the patients.
Whereas not everybody who is a Muslim is an Arab. And not all Arabs are Muslims. And now when you say the Arab League, it means that people who are non-Arabs seems to be a kind of, in quotes, marginalized.
Like the Christians in the area.
In the Christian area. For example, in Iran, the Iranians are not Arabs, but they are Persians. So, but the Arab League is meeting, and the fact that the Arab League seems to have taken the side of Saudi Arabia shows that the Arab League is partial, is not objective.
So, can this spark war in the region, military tension? We know already they are fighting wars. Iran is supporting the Houthis in the Yemen. We have Saudi Arabia that created an Islamic state that is financing it. And I even heard that one of their secret service officials were killed. Was killed the other day. Sorry, in Syria. That's why they are reacting the way they are reacting today.
Well, a full-blown war between Saudi Arabia and Iran, I don't think it is possible, but it can be what you've just mentioned, what they call a proxy war. Yeah. What is taking place, for example, in Yemen, which is the south of Saudi Arabia, where you have the Houthis rebel purportedly supported by Iran, and then the Saudi government is trying to support the government of the legitimate government of Yemen. It's a kind of proxy war. Then another proxy war that can be fought is which is visible, which is already being fought, is what is taking place in Syria, where you have the Iranian backed by the Lebanese, Hezbollah movement, Hezbollah movement that is supporting Assad. Assad is an Alawite, which is a Shia sub-branch, that is close to the Shia confession. And I think that is what if a full-blown war between Iran and Saudi Arabia is out of the question, but a proxy war, yes. Because, for example, if you look in terms of potential, the Iranian army is made up of about 545,000 men, while Saudi Arabia is only 233,000 men.
That is a problem.
There's a problem. Now, in terms of population, Iran is 81 million, whereas
85 million.
Yeah, almost 85 million,
yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Whereas Saudi Arabia is just 27 million. So in case of a war between Saudi Arabia and Iran, in terms of the population, you might say it is not important, but it is important. I don't think Saudi Arabia will be able, without the help of the United States and Britain and the allies, to stand.
Then we'll go to another, not Iraq-Iran war, but Saudi-Iran war. And the Russians, the Chinese will come in to support their partner, while the Americans will be supporting the other partner. That's total escalation, and then the region will burn it.
Yes, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen because while Saudi Arabia has been saber-rattling, you can discover that as far as Iran is concerned, Iran has been low-keyed. Iran has carried out arrests of those who break into the Saudi diplomatic compound.
The president even condemned.
And the president even condemned it. So you see, there are two approaches. There's another person who is saber-rattling, whereas there's another person who is much more calm. And it also depicts what is happening, because I think what Saudi Arabia wants to do, in my opinion, is to marginalize Iran, present Iran as a kind of warmonger, while Iran wants to present herself to be a respectable country.
They have a lot to go home with, because on the 31st of January things will come to normal. They'll start pumping fuel and things like that. So they don't want to enter into a conflict, but full-blown conflict. But they are managing the conflict now. Russia just said, okay, we can go negotiate with Iran and Saudi Arabia to quell down the tensions.
Yes, to act like a mediator between both regional powers. Yes, because Iran is a major Shia power and a regional power, for that matter, while Saudi Arabia is a regional
power that matters.
That matters, yes. And Saudi Arabia is also a regional power because it is the richest country in the Sunni Islamic world, and it's a kind of religious leader in the world of Islam.
Okay, what is the percentage of Sunnis and Shiite in Islam?
It depends on whom you ask, but some estimates, according to the CIA and the BBC, say that Sunni represent between 85 and 90% of the Muslim world, whereas the Shia represent about 8 and 10%.
8 and 10%.
8 and 10%.
But I was checking the map yesterday.
Yes.
It runs through to Iraq. It's
the Shia.
The Shia a majority there.
Yes, the Shia. Yes, they can be. The problem is that they can be.
And some parts of Turkey, some part of Syria is their ally. Iran.
Yes, not all people. Not all parts.
I want to say the country, because the leadership is.
Yeah, the leadership is pro-Iranian. You can find Shia in in Iraq. They are majority in Iraq.
Yeah.
They are majority in Iran. You can also find them in Turkey. You can find them in Azerbaijan.
In Lebanon.
You can find them in Lebanon.
How they call this nation again? Bahrain.
Bahrain.
Yeah.
And in Bahrain, for example, they are
majority,
but ruled by a minority Sunni monarchy. So you have a lot of Shia in Turkey. You have them also in Azerbaijan. You have them in Bahrain. You have
in
them
Nigeria.
in Syria. You have them in Nigeria. You have them in Cameroon as well. So, but they are a minority.
Where are they in Cameroon?
Well, in
not
Cameroon,
in the far north.
Not
in the far north. I think the Sunnis.
They are in Cameroon. You cannot pinpoint
around
them.
Bafoussam, around?
No, you cannot. You cannot.
The Adamawa?
No, you can't say specifically where they are located. Shia, they are a minority. You find them, for example, the representative of the Shia. They are dots all over. They are dotted all over the national territory of Cameroon, but they are really a minority within the Islamic world. That is it. And the problem between them came in 16.
I heard most of the Sunnis say they don't believe these guys are Muslims.
No,
to them, the Christians are there. Well, they are Christians. They are the Israeli. How they call their religion again? The Jews are there. They are the Muslims, and then the Shiites are Persians. They don't believe they are Muslims. That's what is really happening now.
No,
that's because I was watching Cohen yesterday. Was explaining that is how Saudi Arabia sees Iran.
Sure.
And the Shiites.
Yeah, most Sunni people who are Sunni Islam, Sunni Muslims, think that the Shia are a kind of they are not Muslims, or they are kind of hereditary. They are not pure Muslims. But this thing is a kind of rivalry between them. What happened?
So let's talk about this rivalry.
Yes.
The source of it.
The source came in I think in 1632 after the death of Prophet Muhammad, and there was a kind of form of succession. And there are people like the Shia felt that it was Ali, who was his cousin and son-in-law to Prophet Muhammad, who had to succeed over Prophet Muhammad. So, but the problem why there is this problem is that it was a kind of movement. The Ali people were a kind of movement, but who was killed in Najaf, in Najaf in Iraq, which is the third holiest place for the Shia Muslims. So the problem is that it's about the succession. And after when Ali died, Ali had two sons. It was Hassan and Hussein. Hussein was killed in the Battle of Karbala, still in Iraq. In Iraq,
well, we had the Garden of Eden.
Exactly. So the problem now is, it is a kind of who succeeded who. Like a person who created a movement, Prophet Muhammad, when he died, now there's a succession. Now who is the successor? I think that's the problem that
between the Shiites and the Sunnis.
And the Sunnis. Yes. That's the source of the rivalry between them from the origin.
Thank you so very much, Elise Smith.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'll propose this video for you.
Thank you.
If you go to Yaoundé, you surely listen to their songs everywhere, in the bars, on the different radio stations are playing it, and the local TV stations too are playing it. It's a new video. From the Bassa land. They call them Mbale Mbale. I don't know exactly the meaning of Mbale Mbale.